Hi, what can I get you?
Ramen, Coke.
Sure, come here. Is your ramen coke?
Thank you so much. Chin chin.
Tell me, what is Maskerade? Is it an EP? Is it a performance? Is it a musical? What is it exactly?
I think taking it a step back, Maskerade is a little more like a revolution, but through whatever excites you. Masquerade can be anything. Mostly we see her in dramatics and theatre, but with a little bit of a musical element to it. So, looking at it from the music perspective, I think music is a part of Masquerade. Theatre is a part of Masquerade. And that's what Masquerade is, I think.
How did your journey in music begin? What was that starting point?
So I've always been that good kid who went for classes every time your mother enrolled you into one, and just like Rangoli, Mehndi, drawing class, music was a part of it. I didn't connect to music till my early teenage years, I guess, and I started with Hindustani Shastri.
So
But
vocals is your starting point.
yes, vocals is where I started, and then I moved to Western. I would like to look at that phase of my life as the rebellion phase of I will pick and choose for myself. I'll do what I want, and I know what I want for myself. So that was moving away from Indian classical and then getting into the infamous Miley Cyrus. So that's how it started. But then I feel like personally, the learning curve started in college when I formed a band. It was a blues band, and that's when I understood music as more than just the notes, more than just the singing, more than just the instruments.
But this was not the point where you started playing the keyboard.
This wasn't.
So this is still where you're singing.
Yeah, this is still where I'm singing. This is still where I'm just figuring out the connection. Obviously, blues, sad songs, sadness rate max. But
there are some fun blues numbers as well.
yeah,
Anyway,
sure.
singing that.
I don't sing those. You know. I think after college, I realized that if I want to take music forward, then I have to do it on my own because everybody else graduated, everybody is doing jobs here and there. So that was more of a need of an hour. If I want to do this, which I really, really do, I must learn how to figure it out. So I started with keys. We had keys at home. Then I picked up ukulele. Then I did a little bit of production because I was like wanting to know what it is exactly, like electronically as well. And in that process, somewhere, Masquerade came out. She was like, I want to be a part of it.
And it's a huge set. It's not like it's just, like a 20, 15 minutes. It's a huge set. Yet you have not released most of it. Like, you've got so many songs, and people generally, like, the moment they're done with the song, they're like, okay, let's release it, and they're trying to do all kinds of promotions and all of those things. But here you are, you're that relaxed. How are you, what is the thought process here? It's a little confusing, if I may say.
When I started Masquerade, my entire idea was that if you want to listen to me, you must meet me, and
It has to be up close and personal. It cannot be over headphones and sitting at home and listening to.
101% not. You gotta come for the gig. You gotta look me in the eye. You have to laugh at my jokes. And after the gig, we would chill. We would talk. It's that I am not. Maybe this is like the initial phase of my music going out, but that is exactly how I dreamt it. And although I have a lot of pressure from my fellow musicians that you must, you should, and I think about it. There's still a DM that I have to reply to a producer where I have to send him my demos, but I would rather have it done from word of mouth, and I just think that's the risk I'm willing to take right now.
Not everyone's doing that, so that's a great thing. Like, you want people to connect to your music directly. It shouldn't be, sitting at home. That's a commendable thing in today's day and age. Yeah. Tell me, what makes you write? Why do you write? What do you write about? What drives that? Okay, I'm gonna write about this particular thing. Your songs are not really about this happened to me or that happened to me. It's not. It may be first person a couple of songs, but then it's not you are not the first person. So, what makes you write?
Mm, I like drama. I love theatre.
We've
I-
seen that.
Apologies.
No.
But the idea behind Maskerade is that I can tell you about a lot of things that I find are problematic, a lot of issues on ground. But then if I really sit with you and talk about it, you might get bored, you might get offended, you might not like me. There are so many things, right? But if I make a song out of it, if I have emotions there, if I dance a little, if if I play with that idea, it is much easier for you to digest it without feeling guilty of the fact that this is the conversation that is happening. I feel like a lot of times there's so much burden on us to pick a side and do this and do that. That was the initial space where Maskerade was. I personally feel that Maskerade had to sit down with herself, figure out who she is, and in that figuring out process, she realized all the goods and the bads, and that's how it came out. So it is easy for me to come and tell you that, hey, you know what, I love lying. But if I write a song about it, you're gonna enjoy it, and I won't feel guilty about the fact that I'm a bad person. So win-win.
Makes sense. Do you write lyrics to your music, or do you compose over written material? How do you go about that?
A general process is that the music comes first, then comes a story around it, then comes badadi dadi dum dum, and then come the lyrics. So
Oh.
that's pretty
So
much.
after you have composed, say, a chord progression, then you're sorry, what is the second step?
It's a story. Then you
Come out with the story.
you emote that piece of music there. Then you feel, who would sing this? Why would
Okay.
somebody sing this?
Okay.
Where is this coming from? Who wrote it? Then you become that person who wrote it.
So that's where the character is developed.
Is developed, yeah.
Okay, and then you try adding more musical nuances onto the existing layers that you have.
Melody.
And the last part is when you start
The
writing.
lyrics.
Yeah, because by then you've already even composed or like thought of a story
Yeah,
or
there's a
character.
narrative that is built
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
which is why I feel easier to put lyrics back in. Then it's like creating a character, giving them music, and then saying that you write it now. It's not my job. So that's how it's done.
So that's where the drama as well comes, right? Because now you've taken up the character, and then you're writing it as the character. That's quite the process. Let's discuss some of your songs. Let's start with Sinful Soulful.
Very nice song.
No, I was hoping you'd tell me more about it.
Yeah, Sinful Soulful, I wrote it from a place where, again, if you look at the places where these songs have come, they've all come from a place of where I could figure out who I am. Everything is a process like that. I was at a point where I felt with Sinful Soulful, I was like, doesn't make sense for me to make music and put it out. If my purpose is to make music, I make music. Why is it that I'm singing for people? Why is it that I'm putting it out? That is not something where I should go, right? But that's a story for another time. Sinful Soulful comes from a place of finding dualities in yourself, like the song itself. But it specifically comes from that place where you feel that you're better than everybody else, and you have the right to call out on people and, point out their mistakes when you have not been a nice person yourself. But even then, the fight for surviving, even as a bad person, right? Because you're like, okay, fine, even if I am not there, I still want to survive, I still want to live, I still want a good life. Where is that urge coming from? You know the good, you know the bad, you know what you've done, you know what you haven't done, and still you're searching for meaning. I think that basic instinct to survive is where Sinful Soulful comes from.
Do you think us as a species can decide upon what's actually good and bad? I think we can
Good
never
question.
come to that conclusion.
Leading to Maskerade Act 2, by the way. We discuss
That's right.
morality in a more detailed sense. Because Maskerade Act 1 is just an introduction to where she is, who she is, what is happening. Wait, what just happened? That is where Maskerade is, right? Maskerade Part 2 is more about going a little deeper, like taking a step back or maybe taking a step forward. Either ways. But definitely morality has been one of the biggest point of conversation that I have with myself multiple times, because it's just it's an interesting thing.
You're also a lawyer. Do you ever think that Maskerade interferes when Vaibhavi is working?
101%.
And how do you control that? Like,
I think Vaibhavi is more nosy than Maskerade.
Oh, it's the
Maskerade
other
has
way.
her space, she knows what to do. Vaibhavi is just, you saw Vaibhavi entered the venue, right? It wasn't Maskerade. But yeah, that's true. I am actively pursuing law as well. I am working in a space which is kind of like heavy, mentally, emotionally. Maybe that's the reason why Maskerade comes out a little more. So if I look at it from that point of view, sure. But like you said, the transition period. Initially, when I started, I didn't understand. I used to put timers. Okay, morning I'm gonna riyaz and then I'm gonna do law. But it doesn't happen that quickly, right? Now I've learned to give myself a breather, to just not be anything. Just let yourself be, and that's really helped a lot. But I wouldn't lie if I say that Masquerade has taken inspiration from Vaibhavi's life and vice versa. So I think it's working out well from both sides.
Nice. But you're able to manage like music and like working?
Yeah,
sometimes?
every organization that I applied to and rejected my application, I made sure that they know that I have two parallel careers that I'm pursuing. There is no way that one comes above the other.
Oh, that's nice. So you're honest about that when you're
101%.
approaching anyone.
101%. And that's why my organization where I'm working right now is very supportive, because they understand that this is a space that they cannot, it's a boundary that I've drawn. And that's very, very nice. It's like in an early age, if you can do that, well and good for you.
Yeah, actually. So Seneca, the philosopher, said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Do you agree? And I ask you this because there's like a giant universe in your head. So is it that you're suffering more in reality, more in imagination? That's where all these songs are coming?
I would answer this, but then it would be me just calling out on all my fellow creative people, because
No, go
that's what we do most of the time. But that is somehow true. I can see that from a space of you living inside your head a lot. Also, the idea that you focus too much on the bad things and then you only think about all the bad things, right? That is again taking it to Masquerade's act as well. If you look at each song has duality. There are two different aspects of life that she's showing. But if you look at Masquerade from a casual perspective, you will only see the bad. But if you actually sit down and look at her and where she's coming from, you may want to look at the good, or you may figure out how there is good as well, and that's why it's a balance. But like you said, it's much easier to.
Do you think Vaibhavi will write a song ever? Will that ever happen? Like an instance from your life, will that come out as a dramatization?
I don't think so.
So you're very personal that way.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. None of the songs that I've written, I mean all of them, but none of them are deriving from a specific incident per se, or like you can't pinpoint and say, oh, I know where the song is coming from. And I think that's what the point of Masquerade is. Vaibhavi doesn't need to write song. Like I told you, Vaibhavi is still figuring it out why she's doing this, right? Masquerade is a stage. She needs all the focus, so we keep it as it is.
Alright, so Vaibhavi is no time soon writing a song from a personal experience, like what most people do. No. Okay. What motivates you every morning to go about and do all these things?
What else will I do? What else is there?
I mean,
There is nothing.
do you think you'll ever direct a play? Like, would you?
Yes, I would love to. I would love to have a team. I would love to put this out in places. I would love to design lights for Masquerade. I would love to do background sound, and then have more elements, and then have a ghost coming from somewhere, and a crocodile and whatnot. There are so many things that I want to do, but right now I don't have the capacity for it. But in the near future,
You are aiming for.
I think that's how Masquerade will grow. That's Masquerade looking at herself from 2 years down the lane. So cool.
Masquerade, what's next? Where are you performing? What's happening?
wherever the people who heard me right now speak about me and pitch a gig for me, that's what happens. Although in 2023 I've planned that I am going to be more forthcoming and I will approach more venues and I will approach more managements and agencies to see whether Maskerade is something that they like or not. For a while, for almost 2 years, I've just sat on the set and have only given it to those who have come to me. So now I feel like I would like to do more. I've figured it out somewhere. I've performed a few times to make a concrete version of the set, and I know and I understand my audience a little better now. So I am very excited to see where Masquerade goes. So what we saw right now was just part 1, which is the introduction. Part 2 is more. Part 2 is still coming. Part 2 isn't
You're
writing.
still working on it?
I am still working on it, but I feel like part 2 will be more people, more characters, more elements, definitely, like I was saying. So
And
I
do
think
we get part 2 this year? Anyway. Do
I
you think you'll be able to finish it? The year's just started. Come on.
the year's just started. Let's see. I would like to say, okay, I would like to put it out there in the
Yeah,
universe.
nice.
I will finish it.
Oh.
2023 Masquerade Part 2. The only thing that we need to really manifest for now is venues and more opportunities. So, as and when it comes. But I think Part 2 is not stopping Part 1 from going out. So, Part 1 is.
I'm just
out and
excited for
about.
part 2.
Yeah?
I've seen part 2. I just want to see part 2. So.
I'm very excited too. Is she gonna be bad? Is she gonna be good? Is she gonna be neutral?
I'm sure she's going to be bad. Alright, Prabhavi, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
talking.
for having me.
Yes. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Cheers.